So Mark, I see you're celebrating reaching a milestone this week.
Yeah, it's 9,000 subscribers to Talk Beliefs, and I'm very grateful indeed for everybody who has supported this little channel over the years. And I never thought it'd even reach 1,000, let alone 9,000. And I can see from this morning it's more like 9,100 at this point.
Yeah, we're popping on quite a few a day now.
Yeah, so if you at home can make it 10,000, we'll be eternally grateful. That'd be fantastic. It's great to know that people have an interest in this subject. It's a very important subject. And it's something that's very dear to our hearts, and that's why we do this. And this is why we do news as well.
Even more important is to celebrate some news from Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely. Recently they had a referendum to remove the blasphemy law from the Constitution. Yes, believe it or not, they were one of the countries that had one of these laws which basically said you can't say nothing bad about God, you know. I could have done an Irish accent there, but I've decided not to. So, in a historic move, the people of Ireland have voted to remove blasphemy from their constitution. The people of Ireland voted Friday on whether to remove a clause from their constitution which states, "Blasphemous, seditious, or indecent matter is an offence which shall be punishable in accordance with law." Exit polls suggest an overwhelming victory for yes, with around 70% of votes cast in favor of removing the blasphemy provision. The International Humanist and Ethical Union, the IHEU, which runs the global End Blasphemy Laws campaign, supported the campaign by Atheist Ireland to repeal this clause. In August 2018, the chief executive of IHEU, Gary McClelland, speaking at a humanist conference in Carlingford, Ireland, urged the Irish people to repeal their blasphemy law as a sign of moral leadership to the rest of the world. That's not a huge surprise. We kind of knew it would probably go that way, but it was a huge majority, wasn't it?
I thought it was going to be really close. I was a little bit worried about this one, to tell the truth, but a huge majority. I think it shows that people in Ireland have had enough in religions being part of their government.
Right, we just had the vote to legalize abortion, and before that gay marriage, and before that divorce, and now it just seems inevitable that this would happen.
But just the vast majority voting to repeal it just shows that even the religious people in Ireland don't want to be told what to do by the religions anymore. They just want to live their lives how they want to live them without the threat of prison for making some joke about God or something like that.
Yeah, and I wonder if Stephen Fry in his interview over there got people thinking about this subject a bit more.
I think it probably did, because it brought it to the press again, didn't it? And I think a lot of people didn't even realise they still have blasphemy laws on the statute book.
Yeah, and live on the air virtually, he said, if I met God, I would say, "How dare you cause bone cancer in children?" And I think that struck a chord with people.
Yeah, so this is fantastic. And it's amazing how quickly Ireland is transforming into this liberal country from what was basically a religious country. Religion ran the country.
Oh yes, I lived there for quite a few years. My dad is from there, and everyone on his side of the family, and they were very, very, very Catholic.
Yeah, and they're becoming a bit of a leading light by changing all these laws and becoming showing how a liberal country can operate and not discriminate against the existing religious people.
Yeah, absolutely. Commenting on the news, IHEU Chief Executive Gary McClelland said, "It will bring hope and encouragement to fellow humanists who face violence and intimidation on a daily basis. The only people who have anything to fear from freedom of expression after blasphemy laws are those who know that their religious authoritarianism will be open to public scrutiny and debate."
Yeah, so they can't say horrendous things without being pulled up on it now. That's good.
The CEO of the Humanist Association of Ireland, Nolene Hartigan, commented, "Today's referendum results represent another significant milestone for Ireland in becoming a modern, secular, and more compassionate society. However, there are still several significant hurdles to be overcome before people of no faith can fully participate in Irish society without discrimination. On Monday morning, thousands of children from non-religious families will attend Roman Catholic schools because their parents, as taxpayers, have no other option." So, yeah, it is still going to function as kind of a religious country.
Yeah, I mean, that needs addressing the school problem of not having secular schools. But believe me, that's not just Ireland. We have this problem in the UK. There are thousands and thousands of people in the UK who are non-religious. I mean, more than half the country now are non-religious, and they have no schooling option apart from to send them to a Church of England school. So that's something that needs addressing in the UK as well.
Absolutely. And the quote goes on to say, every day our laws are defined and our lawmakers informed by a constitution that pledges the country above all else, not to its people, but to Almighty God. So, yeah, there she goes, emphasizing it again. And I don't know, it might be a case that one day you wouldn't even know that it was a religious country in the past.
Well, they're certainly moving in the right direction, and quicker than most countries.
Yeah, very quick. That's amazing. And like what they're saying there, they are pretty much shining as a beacon to the rest of Europe, the rest of the world, that you can become a secular country and shed sort of all the shackles of religion without turning into an immoral state. Yes. Yeah. In fact, yeah, when I go over there, it just seems so, just as calm and as lovely as it always has been over there. Okay. Now, you might have noticed that we're getting towards the end of October, and there's a lot of pumpkins and things showing up in the shops, and costumes, and that means Halloween.
Indeed.
And the next article is from the Times, Co-UK. The church aims to put the fear of God into Halloween. Now, this is something we've come across before, that various churches are kind of a bit wary of Halloween because they think it's the night of the devil.
But it's normally the more evangelical type of churches.
Yeah. They're the most vociferous about this problem.
So this is where this story has interest for me.
Christians are uneasy about the celebration of the dark side of life, a Church of England advisor said. Children need to avoid the lure of the dark side this Halloween, a senior Church of England figure has said, advising youngsters to dress up as saints or go door to door handing out treats and Bible verses to their neighbours.
Oh, please don't do that. Your neighbours aren't going to like you very much. Do not. Yeah, you can give them treats. That'll be a different way of doing it. That'll be a lovely way of doing it. But don't hand out Bible verses. You're going to be universally...
It happened to me as a kid in America.
And universally mocked. And
we got the chick tracts in the bags, and it was like, oh, don't go to that house. You're just going to get a...
You'll become that kid with no friends at school. Don't let your kids do that.
Yeah, I don't know if actually they do have chick tracts over here. These little tiny cartoon books which have a very frightening evangelical message, and it's in the form of a comic strip. And they're designed to leave at various places and to put into Halloween bags, and I remember getting a few of those. And it just completely took the fun out of Halloween. The article goes on to say, a pack has been distributed to churches encouraging them to host light parties featuring candles and prayer as an antidote to the darkness of Halloween. The project has backing from the Archbishop of Canterbury. It includes advice from Mary Hawes, the National Children and Youth Advisor for the Church of England, who said, as Christians, we are rightly uneasy about the celebration of the dark side of life. It's not what Jesus calls us to. But folding our arms, putting on a disapproving face and being negative is unlikely to woo families away from what they see as a harmless bit of fun. Too often Christians are perceived as killjoys rather than those who are living life in its fullness. You're making a face. What do you think?
Well, part of me is like, yeah, if you are religious and you want to have a light party to celebrate, all well and good.
Fine.
Yeah, enjoy yourselves. Absolutely enjoy yourselves. But the whole thing is said in the tense that the dark side exists. We're not in Star Wars here. Satan doesn't exist.
Nobody's celebrating the dark side of life.
Demons don't exist. Horror films don't mean poltergeists are going to come into your house. This is just a bit of fun.
No. I mean, you will see the occasional kid dressed up as a monster, but mostly it's like Captain America or Elsa from Frozen. So I don't know what they're so worried about. And if anyone doesn't know what a light party is, I actually downloaded their light party pack. This is nothing particularly, harmful about doing this. It's just having a party indoors somewhere with a lot of glow sticks and candles and bright things. But they do emphasize, the Jesus aspect of it. Which, again, is just fine amongst themselves, but they want to promote it as well. They want to go out, I think, as well on Halloween or invite non-Christian kids to come to these light parties and then basically preach to them, which I don't think is, to me, my idea of a party and what a party is all about. So the concept of light parties was devised by the Scripture Union. Reverend Tim Hasty-Smith is the national director, and what he says about these, he says, Jesus Christ, our Savior, is the light of all people, and our challenge as Christians is to share this light with our communities. Halloween presents a perfect opportunity to do this. In stark contrast to all the scary costumes and a focus on darkness, we can provide something different that reflects the light of Jesus and shows love to our communities. There's a couple of things that leap out there. Halloween, it's just kitsch, really, isn't it? Yeah. It's not a celebration of Satanism or death or murder or anything like that.
Not at all.
It's dressing up and it's candy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with the scary side of it. Kids and adults alike like being scared if they know there's nothing in it. And I think largely they do know there's nothing in it. They don't think that demons go flying around.
No, of course
on
not.
Halloween night.
Of course not. So
but clearly there's some people think that that's what it's all about.
Yeah, some people in the church think it is, but that's just nonsense, isn't it? No one's actually celebrating anything, or like you said, celebrating Satan on the day. Or if they are, then they're just as, well, in my mind, a little bit mad as these Christians who are so worried about it.
I was going through this light party pack. It was a PDF, right? And they have some questions which they think kids are going to ask, I suppose, at a light party, and they give answers which you could then give them. For instance, is Halloween the devil's birthday? And the answer they suggest that you give the child is, well, Satan was never born. He is an angel that rebelled against God. Since he wasn't born, he can't really have a birthday. Even so, some people, not Christians, say that 31st of October is the devil's birthday. Another question, is the devil real? And the answer they're supposed to give the child is, yes, definitely. When he was on earth, Jesus spoke about the devil and was tempted by him. So he must be real.
Right, so that's where I definitely have a problem then, because it's a light-hearted holiday and the church is telling the kids the devil's real and to be scared of him.
And you can bet that if those questions aren't asked, and not that they're going to ask, at a light party, the leaders might be tempted to bring it up.
Yeah.
It happened to me.
I mean, I would just like them to be a little bit more honest with the kids if they're going to do that and say, well, in the Bible story, God created Satan to make you burn forever.
That is a point, yes.
Well,
the Bible is full of things which used to scare me as a kid.
Yeah.
It's full of darkness itself.
Because I think the reason, it's pretty obvious the reason they don't, because if kids figured out that this all-loving God created this demon to make them burn forever, for eternity, they would figure out he's not an all-loving God.
And seems to let him apparently go free, if not on Halloween night, then any time whatsoever. So that's not very nice, is it?
Let's go turn up to a light party and let's dress up as some of the Jesus characters. Let's dress up as Noah, who basically was inflicted the biggest genocide of all time, was the only survivor. Let's have him just go along as Noah, surrounded by all dead animals and dead people.
To remind people of that wonderful genocide that happened.
Or there's plenty of characters in the Bible we could go as. We could. Who was it who sent the bears to kill the kids?
God.
Yeah, well, obviously God did, but who asked for it? Sorry. There's plenty of other characters in the Bible that would fit very well in a Halloween party.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of the Bible used to scare me. And when I started, after deconverting, to read it a bit more, I found there's a lot of bits in there which are very frightening, which I can understand now why they never mentioned it to us.
I mean, I would actually come with a list of all the laws from the Old Testament, dressed up as Jesus, carrying my sword with me. Because that would be a good character.
I always found that story about, was it King Solomon and the baby, and whose baby is it, mine or this girl's or that girl's? And the king was so wise, he said, well, divide the baby in half. And then, of course...
There's some horrendous stories.
Even though if he never meant that, it's a horrible image.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a bit of fun. Enjoy your Halloween.
Yes, enjoy Halloween. It's not a celebration of darkness.
And if you're having a light party, enjoy your light party. But please don't tell kids Satan's real.
Yeah, absolutely. And we go on from one set of weird beliefs to another here. This comes from PewResearch.org. New Age beliefs common amongst both religious and non-religious Americans. Most American adults self-identify as Christians. But many Christians also hold what are sometimes characterized as New Age beliefs, including belief in reincarnation, astrology, psychics, and the presence of spiritual energy in physical objects like mountains or trees. many Americans who are religiously unaffiliated also have these beliefs. But New Age beliefs are not necessarily replacing belief in traditional forms of religious beliefs and practices. While 8 in 10 Christians say they believe in God as described in the Bible, 6 in 10 believe in one or more of the 4 New Age beliefs analyzed here, ranging from 47% of evangelical Protestants to roughly 7 in 10 Catholics and Protestants in the historically black tradition. The article continues, moreover, religiously unaffiliated Americans, those who say their religion is atheist, agnostic, or nothing in particular, are about as likely as Christians to hold New Age beliefs. However, atheists are much less likely to believe in any of the 4 New Age beliefs than agnostics and those who say their religion is nothing in particular. Now, this is something that I found interesting because we know of a lot of people, and I think we can include ourselves in this, who had a belief in our case, Christianity, and then began to doubt it, but we didn't just go straight to non-belief.
No,
there was a kind of a buffer zone, wasn't there? And we see this a lot with other people.
Yeah, unfortunately, people didn't introduce me to the scientific method of investigation when I was coming out of religion, so it took me quite some time.
Yeah.
And I did go through a lot of these woo-woo beliefs. Certainly ghosts, UFOs, crop circles, they were the sort of things that interested
me too, crop circles, and
I always used
The Secret, that was one of mine. I believed in that for a while.
Yeah, and
it doesn't work, folks.
I always used to believe that your star sign had an influence on how you were as a person.
Yeah, and we were wondering before the show, why does this happen? It seems to be like there is something comforting about certain aspects of the supernatural, whatever it is. The fact that there is some source which has the answer to everything, which can solve all your problems. And it's really difficult to let go of that. So you hang on to some aspect of it, but in a different form.
Yeah, and I think for me, it just shows that the human brain needs to have answers to mysteries and to subjects. It desperately wants to have an answer. And when you stumble across an answer, because there's loads of these magazines or newspapers selling this woo-woo, your brain just goes, oh, okay, that's the answer. Don't think about it anymore. You've just heard it.
Yeah.
And believe it.
Yeah. It's an easy, quick, and absolute answer as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And our brains don't like doubt either. But once you sort of understand the scientific method and how science works, your brain doesn't want to stop at the easy answer. It wants to keep investigating. And for me, it was just keep investigating these things that actually led me out of the beliefs.
Yeah, and also finding out that nothing works. And I to anyone who's listening who does believe in this sort of thing, I wanted desperately for these things to work, whether it be crop circles or The Secret or Chinese medicine, which I tried once, and it comes to nothing in every single case. And you're disappointed at first, and you try it again, and it doesn't work, and you're disappointed, and then you have to admit to yourself, these things are just woo-woo, and you just have to go back to the science.
Yeah, but what happened, it certainly happened with me, and what happens to a lot of people is then they start looking for the next simple explanation.
Yeah, I did. I went through countless.
And wouldn't it be so much easier if we taught all kids how to use the scientific methods of thinking, so they wouldn't have to go through the pain we went through of the years and years of following this, what turns out to be nonsense.
Yeah.
And feeling very silly about it myself afterwards when I found out, and wasting a lot of time. And time's precious.
Oh yes, it's like I told you when I had more than 5 years ago. I had this. I had a rash, a skin condition, and for some reason I didn't go to my doctor. I tried everything else in between. I went to homeopathy, where I was given basically sugar pills, and I was also chanted over. And I thought, well, I've got to keep an open mind, haven't I? That did nothing. I went to Chinese medicine. I drank this bitter liquid. Did nothing and cost the earth, and several other things. And in the end, I went to my GP, my doctor, who was only across the road from me, and she said, here, put this on your skin. And it went the next day. Yeah. And I thought, this is a scientifically tested medicine, and of course it worked. Why didn't I do this in the first place? Why did I waste this time with all this ancient magic?
Yeah.
And it sort of, something clicked in me when that happened.
Yeah, that's good. And it was a similar process for me. And what's interesting is, so the higher belief is in the religious people and the people who say they're spiritual, that's the higher belief, and then it drops down a bit for the ones who are agnostics, so they're still out there searching maybe and stopping at the easy answer and no particular belief as well. Atheists aren't clean on this. 22% of atheists have these beliefs, so they're not thinking using the scientific method, 22% of atheists, but it shows atheists are thinking more.
That's a point.
They are thinking more, and this is, I think if you stay as a thinking, critical person, you are more likely to end up as an atheist. And this is my conspiracy theory brain on. I think it's why churches don't like people being educated in secular schools. I think it's why a lot of governments around the world are now teaching creationism and not evolution in school, because they don't want thinking adults.
Thinking means questioning, and then the status quo starts changing, and that makes things difficult for certain
But come on, atheists, 22% of atheists still believe in this nonsense.
Yeah. I know it's exciting, and I know people will tell you, like, for instance, acupuncture. Oh, well, this has been going for thousands of years in China, or Chinese medicine. We've been practicing it for thousands. That doesn't mean it works. It just means people have been gullible for several thousand years.
Do you know what they call, as Tim Minchin would say, do you know what they call alternative medicines that work?
What? Medicine.
Because we just investigate it, and if it works, we take it up as treatments. Well,
I think we've come to the end, and thank you very much, Neil, for joining me. You're going back to Reason now to do your good work. And I've got some more interviews, which I've got set up for this week, and there'll be some news on that next week, and of course, more news from the world of belief and non-belief. See you then.